When the new administration arrived in the White House in early 2017, Trump made David M. Friedman U.S. ambassador to Israel. Friedman advised and represented Trump and his organization in bankruptcies involving the tycoon's Atlantic City casinos. As a revisionist Zionist donor, he had pumped millions of dollars into illegal, extremist West Bank settlements. When Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced Israel would lift all restrictions on settlement construction in the West Bank, Trump looked the other way. In 2016, the number of Jewish settlers in the occupied territories of the West Bank exceeded 400,000. Under Trump's Peace to Prosperity plan, all settlements would remain under Israeli sovereignty and not a single settlement would be removed. Today, thanks to Trump and Biden administrations, the number of those settlers exceeds 750,000. Subsequently, the U.S. recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, moving its embassy from Tel Aviv to the Holy City. In 2018, Trump ordered the closure of the PLO office in Washington, D.C., and canceled nearly all U.S. aid to the West Bank and Gaza, plus $360 million in annual aid previously given to the UNRWA. In 2020-21, the U.S., Israel, and the United Arab Emirates formalized Israel-UAE relations in a set of bilateral deals, followed by agreements with Bahrain, Sudan, and Morocco. It was the U.S. military and intelligence ties that united the signatories of the Abraham Accords. For decades, Palestine had been a second thought in U.S. policy. Now it was fading away from the map. Trump's regional aspirations undermine the Palestinian state, which the UN has recognized and which has increasing recognition by the international community. The Trump administration will blame Biden for the genocidal atrocities in Gaza and support reforming a collaborationist Palestinian leadership. It is likely to allow further settlement expansion and Israel's effective incorporation of the West Bank. It will foster the role of Jerusalem as Israeli capital. It will do what it can to shrink the UNRWA's role. The conventional wisdom is that Trump is a transactional president who is defined by unabashed opportunism. In reality, his advisors and insiders tout an odd mix of Western values, militarized policies, ultra-conservatism, and biblical righteousness. His cabinet will be transactional, yet constrained by these ideologues. Trump's Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, believes that Zionism represents American frontline amid anti-Western barbarians. Hegseth has been linked with Temple Mount groups that advocate a new temple over the Mosque of Omar and Al-Aqsa. Entrenched in violent scenarios, such measures could throw the region into flames. Trump's ambassador to Israel, Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, opposes a two-state solution and claims there's really no such thing as a Palestinian. Supporting permanent Israeli control over the occupied West Bank, he shares the Christian evangelical belief that the return of Jews to Israel validates the biblical narrative. Trump's Secretary of State Marco Rubio supports a Netanyahu-style Israel and revisionist, ultra-hawkish Zionism. In the past half a decade, the top contributors of Rubio's campaign finance feature pro-Israel America PAC and Republican Jewish Coalition. He is also a beneficiary of $1.6 million of large individual contributions. In his Wednesday talk with Prime Minister Netanyahu, Rubio underscored that maintaining the U.S.'s steadfast support for Israel is a top priority for Trump. What could prove highly controversial with the Trump administration is the proposed mobilization to crack down pro-Palestinian forces in America, deport Palestinian activists, and use these measures as a template to crush democratic dissent. In 2023, Elise Stefanik, a recipient of hundreds of thousands of dollars from AIPAC and the Israel lobby, gained national attention for her interrogation of leading university presidents in a televised U.S. congressional hearing on anti-Semitism. Calling for students' deportation, Stefanik claimed they are pro-Hamas members of a mob who are calling for the eradication of Israel. In October, she urged for a complete reassessment of U.S. funding of the UN, which she accuses of fostering extreme anti-Semitism. As Trump's UN ambassador, Stefanik can now walk the talk, as evidenced by her confirmation hearings. When asked whether she supports Palestinian self-determination, she refused to answer. When asked if she subscribes to the viewpoint of Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich and former National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, Israel's far-right leaders, that Israel has a biblical right to the West Bank, Stefanik replied, yes. According to Stefanik's campaign finance, she raised $15.3 million in 2023-24. Her top contributor was AIPAC, but her big money came from large individual contributions, $2.9 million, and particularly the opaque other category, $8.7 million. The bulk of the money was fueled by her support from prominent Jewish Republicans, including cosmetics heir Ron Lauder, asset manager mogul Mark Rowan, casino tycoon Steve Wynn, Blackstone's executives, and Trump's ex-ambassador David Friedman, in the wake of her grilling of university presidents. As Trump's UN ambassador, Stefanik can now walk the talk, as evidenced by her confirmation hearings. When asked whether she supports Palestinian self-determination, she refused to answer. When asked if she subscribes to the viewpoint of Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich and former National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, Israel's far-right leaders, that Israel has a biblical right to the West Bank, Stefanik replied, yes. According to Stefanik's campaign finance, she raised $15.3 million in 2023-24. Her top contributor was AIPAC, but her big money came from large individual contributions, $2.9 million, and particularly the opaque other category, $8.7 million. The bulk of the money was fueled by her support from prominent Jewish Republicans, including cosmetics heir Ron Lauder, asset manager mogul Mark Rowan, casino tycoon Steve Wynn, Blackstone's executives, and Trump's ex-ambassador David Friedman, in the wake of her grilling of university presidents. A key role belongs to Kash Patel, Trump's hand in the FBI. The blueprint is outlined in Project Esther, the plan to allegedly combat anti-Semitism unveiled by the Heritage Foundation. It is part of the think tank's Project 2025, the ultra-conservative plan to fundamentally alter the U.S. government. Project Esther claims that America's virulently anti-Israel, anti-Zionist, and anti-American pro-Palestinian movement is part of a global Hamas support network. Hence, their call to dismantle the infrastructure dedicated to destroying capitalism and democracy. This movement hopes to capitalize on the highly controversial Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, which could conflate legitimate criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism while drastically curbing freedom of speech in America.